Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Yes, hello. It's me. I'm doing the Smackdown review show. I'm your host, Andy Burrows. My illustrious co-host, Adam, is on holiday. Maybe he's going to have a break. That boy works hard. Dave, it's 10:15 in the morning. We're not getting Dave up. And Parker is definitely asleep because he's 5 hours behind us. So I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and I'm here for the Smackdown review show. Smackdown this week was from Canada. Maybe Edge's last time we see him in Canada. Edge has been celebrating 25 years in the WWE, an incredible achievement. One thing about Edge as well that I want to say is there's a lot of people out there at the minute that are going, oh, I don't know if the Usos can transition from a tag team to singles competitor. Let's think back way back when Edge first started with the Brood, with Edge and Christian, with the whole, one of the greatest tag teams that's ever lived, a la the Usos right now. So Edge went on and become arguably one of the greatest single competitors that we've had of all time. So when they say that, oh, I'm not sure if they should be splitting up the Usos or what's going on with Jimmy and Jay. Hey, look, this isn't the first time WWE have done this. Bret the Hitman Hart started off in the Hart Foundation, arguably one of the greatest in-ring wrestlers that's actually ever lived. So it can be done. I don't think this is the end of Edge, but we'll get to that later on in the show. So SmackDown this week kicked off with the Grayson Waller effect. Those that have been listening to and watching us over the last few months know I'm not the biggest Grayson Waller fan, but it started off with him, with Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio coming out as guests. Obviously, Rey Mysterio is now the new United States Heavyweight Champion. Good move, bad move. I think it's kind of a segue to get where WWE want to go. So I think they've kind of realized that the Austin Theory thing hasn't quite worked. Not to say that it won't. I mean, this happens a lot in wrestling. What sometimes doesn't work out here will later on work out here. If I'd gone back and, if we'd said over the years that, Roman Reigns had the longest reign that he's had when he first joined the company, when he was in NXT and coming up with the Shield, you would have gone, really? He's going to carry the company? Well, things take time. I mean, I don't mind Austin Theory. I think when he first joined and the whole Vince McMahon, and it was good for what it was, and the selfies, and we all know what happened. But I think Rey Mysterio is a good stopgap. It's hopefully going to be a bridge between maybe LA Knight getting the United States title at some stage. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there. But SmackDown kicked off with Grayson Waller calling out Santos and Rey Mysterio. Not long into that segment, we had LA Knight, Theory come out first to say that he demands his title back and how it was stolen off him, and he's calling out Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce eventually comes down to the down the ramp, and LA Knight music hits and gets a tremendous pop. There's a lot of people out there right now that are saying WWE, they're not pushing LA Knight enough. I think what they're doing is very sensible. I think they know now that this is what the WWE universe want. And I said a couple of weeks ago, remember the whole Daniel Bryan yes movement thing that happened. WWE eventually did listen. I don't think they want it to be accelerated as fast as LA Knight. I don't think they want to push him as quick as they did Daniel Bryan back in the day. I think they know there's going to be a big payoff there. So what they're playing the long game, which is sensible. And so they should play that game. So LA Knight comes out on SmackDown to a tremendous pop from the Toronto crowd. By the way, absolutely love when every time WWE goes to Canada, you're guaranteed a great crowd. I mean, I'd say Canada is up there. I mean, I've been to many UK events, as I know Adam and Dave have. Canada's up there with some of the biggest and best crowds. I don't know how they'd ever get WrestleMania in Canada. I speak to Dave Simon and Johnny North, who host Wrestling Uncensored a lot. I don't know if they've got the venues that can maybe hold a WrestleMania anymore, like outdoors. WWE like to take WrestleMania outdoors now, but if they could ever get WrestleMania in Canada, and we're talking about London, Canada is also a great shout. But LA Knight come out, the Toronto crowd giving him a great pop. Basically saying to Theory, hey, look, why don't we fight for the #1 contendership for the United States title? And that is exactly what they did. Adam Pearce made the match. It was there and then. So when SmackDown come back from the commercial break, we had LA Knight versus Austin Theory, and the draft means absolutely nothing, because right at the start of the match, The Miz comes out, to which the commentary team made a sly dig. I'm guessing that was all the WWE fans talking about the draft, saying, hey, Michael Cole, if you can be on both shows, then The Miz can be on both shows. Corey Graves made that comment. So The Miz was out ringside for the match. And to be honest, as soon as he was announced, as soon as I saw him walking down the ramp, you kind of knew that LA Knight wasn't going to win. It was probably either going to, even in my notes here, I put either ending a DQ or a stupid roll-up tight submission, pulling the tights. We all know what happened in the end. Again, though, WWE are playing the long game with LA Knight. They're not going to let him win and then go on to get a United States title shot. I think he's going to have to go through The Miz. What's the next pay-per-view? Payback. I think he's going to have to go through The Miz there, and then I reckon we'll see him get a shot at either Rey Mysterio or Austin Theory. I think Austin Theory could have the title back by the time that LA Knight gets. I think Rey Mysterio is just a placeholder. I don't think he's the long-term answer. Santos Escobar could still maybe turn on Rey Mysterio. There's a few things in the mix. But anyway, the match, LA Knight and Theory was a good match, actually. I enjoyed it. Again, the crowd reaction to LA Knight was incredible. I thought it was really, really good. Good bit where they done the old tradition, whoever's ringside, and in the current feud, Theory got launched into The Miz. That was a really, really good part of the match. And then we obviously had the end. God, this is like Wrestling 101. LA Knight chasing The Miz around the ring. Miz gets outside the ring, the distraction. Theory, roll up, 1, 2, 3. Theory's got the tights. Like I said a minute ago, I didn't think anything else was going to happen when The Miz come down. It was only, again, they've still got to tease the match. I'm guessing, obviously, we've got LA Knight versus The Miz at the next pay-per-view. But overall, I thought it was a good match. I like what they're doing with LA Knight. I think Theory doesn't need the title anymore. Like I say, they might put it back on him. I mean, like I say, Rey Mysterio could just be a placeholder. It's interesting to see once this all culminates, though, what's going to happen with Austin Theory, because there was one talk at times that he was going to be pushed to the WWE title. Are they going to do that? Who knows? Intercontinental? Who knows? Him and The Miz teaming up, tag team? Maybe I can see Theory more in a tag team. We said at the start of the show how people leave tag teams and go off to singles runs. Maybe Theory could go from holding a prestigious title in WWE to teaming up with The Miz. I think they'd make great heel tag teams. Jesus, everyone hates them already. So why not? I mean, why not? We then had Io Sky and Bayley versus Bianca and Charlotte next. It was okay. I think WWE have slowly listened with the women's division, a bit like AEW. I think women's wrestling, like we've said many times, has taken a little dip. I like the fact that Io's got the title. I'm hoping that she has a decent run with it. Obviously, Io Sky and Bayley versus Bianca and Charlotte. Charlotte and Bianca picking up the win in what was it was a good match, actually. I really enjoyed this one. They got a little bit of TV time as well. I think that's the good thing. The Bloodline have carried WWE for so long now. That's been the main focus. And like we said, myself and Adam said when we were doing our top 10 last week, and we kind of mentioned now that it's kind of like what wrestling used to be. I mean, everyone says, oh, what are they going to do without the Bloodline? As well, up until before 2020 and before the pandemic hit, there was many good storylines going on and everyone got a lot of ring time. So let's hope that that's still the case. I mean, the girls got a lot of ring time over on SmackDown this week. Charlotte and Bianca picking up the win, which was good. It was a decent match. Still not quite sure about the whole Damage Control. Bayley's going to want the title eventually. Is she going to turn on Io Sky? that's the problem at the minute. You've got a lot of factions where all you're thinking about is, oh, is so and so going to turn on? So the Judgment Day. You've got Damien Priest and Finn. The Bloodline's the Bloodline. You've got you've got Damage Control. Is Bailey going to want a shot at EO? You've got a lot of things going on. So yeah, going to be interesting to see what they do. We then had the Streets Profits versus the OC on SmackDown, but before that, they went backstage and Damage Control were kicking the living bejesus out of Bianca, playing on the damaged leg again. Where they going? Do they need to, for whatever reason, is Bianca getting wrote off TV for a while? Me and Adam have said many times that we hope that she gets involved with the Street Profits, forming the new, like, the Hurt Business and stuff like that. Is this something they're going to weave into the storyline? But Damage Control, played on the knee of Bianca backstage, the bad leg, as they said on commentary. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with Bianca for a while. Is she taking a little back seat for a little bit? Is she going to be wrote off TV? Who knows? I mean, I'm not sure. But we had the Street Profits versus the OC. I really like what they're doing with the Street Profits at the minute. We've said many times on this show, turn them heel. I think they'll be really good with Bobby Lashley, the Hurt Business. I'm hoping that, like you say, that Bianca's going to get involved. But it was a good match. It was a quick match. It wasn't on that long. Streets Profits, excuse me, picking up the win against the OC. I mean, the OC are another one, come in with a lot of hype and a lot of furore when they first come back to WWE, obviously with AJ. There's been a lot of talk recently. I think I saw Adam tweeting, someone tweeted about AJ Styles last week, come back home, and they put AEW on it. And I think Adam replied. To be fair, a lot of the time replying on Twitter is Adam. He gets into it on the old social media with people, but with fair play to him. I mean, AJ Styles coming home to AEW. Hello. I don't think he's ever been in AEW. And then someone replied, well, all his friends are there, so that's why technically is it. No. AJ Styles, in my opinion, isn't going anywhere. I'd like to see WWE do more with him when he was WWE champion. Very, very good. So I'm not sure what they're doing there, but the Street Profits getting the win over the OC in quite a quick match. And then Bobby Lashley comes out at the end, raise their hands. Let's just get to it now. Let's get to Bobby Lashley, the Hurt Business. Let's get on with it now. You've built it enough, WWE. We know where it's going. Let's actually get on with this storyline. I'm thinking Bobby Lashley is carrying an injury right now, hence why we haven't seen him in the ring. I know they've done I don't know if you guys saw it online. He had something wrong with his shoulder that he had to have kind of put back in. A guy was clicking it and clunking it back into place. So I think he's nursing that injury. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I kind of like where they're going with that. I'm hoping it's going to be, again, they're going to need something after the Bloodline. The Bloodline's not going to go on forever. And that's not to say that Roman's going to be retiring or he's off to Hollywood. I just think WWE right now, like myself and Adam said last week, they're kind of testing the waters to see if they can get back to what they had before the Bloodline, normal wrestling, shall we say, before the pandemic hit, before the Thunderdome era, and before the Bloodline. There was many storyline going on Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT, and I think that's kind of why they've mugged off the draft. I think they've kind of realized, if you remember back in the day, you used to watch Raw on a Monday. SmackDown used to be on a Tuesday, if you remember back then. And then the following night on SmackDown, this is before it obviously went to Fridays, that storyline carried on. I think that's kind of where WWE are going now. I just wish they wouldn't think that we're all completely fucking stupid. And, the draft, it was just a ratings coup, really, back then. It's pointless. Yeah, and I think, like I say, Corey Graves made a thing of that on commentary. The draft is pretty pointless. That's where WWE should go, and I think that's what they're doing. Like I've just said, I think they're testing the waters to see what's happening, if they can get back to before the Bloodline. They're going to still carry on the Bloodline. Obviously, we're going to get to it in a second. We have Paul Heyman on SmackDown this week. You've got Jay on SmackDown next week. So it's all going to culminate again. You think about it, you've still got Survivor Series coming up. I think they're going back to India for a big pay-per-view after the next one, after Payback. I'm guessing they're not going to go there without the Bloodline. So I think it's taken a little chill for a bit. let's be honest, Roman wasn't exactly on the show every week as it is. But I think WWE now realize they're thinking long term. They're thinking March, April next year, once WrestleMania is done, right, let's kind of plant the seeds now. Let's test the waters and see how we do without the bloodline being the main focus, because it has been for the last 3 years. And it's, apart from the NWO and the DX and the Monday Night Wars, this has probably been the biggest story, long-term story in WWE in absolutely donkey's years. So WWE, they're playing this very good, I think, and they're seeing where it goes. We then went backstage to Paul Heyman. He was backstage, and eventually when he does his whole mobile phone, when he does his cell phone thing, maybe not have a blank screen when you answer it. I know it's a story on and it's only wrestling, but when we know there's no one there, Paul. But anyway, Paul Heyman was on the phone, I'm doing my air quotes for everyone listening in audio now, was on the phone to his source, telling him that Jimmy Uso will be appearing on Smackdown next week. Kayla asked him who it was. I think we all know who it is and who's going to be getting involved in this storyline, because he kind of fucking screwed it up a couple of weeks ago on social media. I think it's going to be Rikishi. I think Rikishi's now going to get involved in the storyline with his boys, the Usos. I think he's going to be woven into that storyline somehow, which I think eventually will either culminate in The Rock being involved at either the Royal Rumble, maybe Survivor Series, maybe before. But if I'm betting, I'm thinking the Rumble, which then the Rumble will set something up for him to do at Mania. Because I've got a feeling that The Rock's going to go into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. I think about his Philadelphia. He can have his homie Kevin Hart there. That's where he lives. I personally think that's where WWE are going to go. I think The Rock will be involved soon-ish. They may they may have him on a SmackDown. I personally think they'll have him on a pay-per-view first. So something could happen at the Rumble. Like I said, something might happen at Survivor Series. But the source on the phone to Paul Heyman, I'm going to go out there and say is Rikishi, because he gave away so much on social media a couple of weeks ago and then had to tweet, "Oh, sorry, wrong promotion." Dude, probably had a few too many Steve Weisers and gave away the game. But I think Rikishi's now going to get involved in the Bloodline storyline, and all these people out there telling us that Jey Uso is going to be all elite and Edge is going to be all elite in the next coming months. You are batshit crazy. Never going to happen. You're not going to see the Usos anytime soon in AEW. Not to say that never say never in wrestling, as the famous saying goes. And all these people that have been out there on social media this week are Jay's definitely done with WWE. Hello. It's a storyline. He's not done. But yeah, I think Rikishi's going to get involved with the Bloodline. When, where, how, what, who knows? I think it's going to be soon. Going to be interesting. It's another little segue into the whole Bloodline storyline, culminating probably. We're all assuming WrestleMania. I'm still not sure if WWE know where to finish this storyline. Hence why I think they're doing what they're doing right now, is they want to see what they've got behind it. And what they need is time to probably rebuild characters. I'm not saying that these characters have been here, but the main focus of any WWE show that you've been at, you really just want to, all you're thinking about is, well, I wonder how the Bloodline storyline is going to progress at this episode of SmackDown or on this pay-per-view. Not so much on Raw, because it doesn't really get mentioned there, but it's a SmackDown and a pay-per-view. All you've thought is, right, what's the next progression for the Bloodline storyline? So it's going to be interesting to see now what WWE are thinking. Right, let's see what we've got behind it. Let's see if we can get LA Knight to maybe where, if he can carry a little bit of the company, you've got Sheamus, you've got the whole Judgment Day thing going on Raw. They need to do something that once this does pay off, and let's for argument's say it is WrestleMania. I'm still not 100% sure. I've said a few times that I think, they're going to get Cody and Roman back together at WrestleMania. But if WWE don't think it's right, don't put anything past these lot to go, do you know what? We're keeping the title on Roman a little bit longer. I wouldn't put it past them to do that. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that maybe come Mania time, a lot can happen between now and then. WWE and Vince McMahon and Hunter and everyone involved might look at it and go, maybe he's not ready to do. Cody's ready. We all know he is. But storyline wise, where they're going to go with him, what they're going to do with him, who's he going to feud with once Roman's not here. Roman could be gone for 6 months to a year, for argument's sake. Could have a good break from wrestling. Not saying he will, but Roman without the title, they need to think, right, what do we do with him? Because it's not going to be a bloodline storyline, because you're probably not going to have Roman having the title. Or are WWE maybe thinking Jimmy or Jey Uso could be the ones? Jimmy could take the title and maybe not Cody. And then Jimmy and Cody get into a feud. There's so many things that can still happen. Again, we all just fantasy book and we all speculate, and people sit behind their little keyboards eating away. Who knows what's going to happen, but we'll figure it out. Edge v Sheamus was the main event of SmackDown this week. 25 years of Edge. I know Adam probably wishes he could be on this episode today, because I know he is Edge is Adam's goat. He's the guy that he loves the most. What a career this guy has had. I mean, he said a few months back that everyone assumed that he'd be retiring in Toronto. I think, and Edge even tweeted out, this was his last match under his current deal. So when he come back at the Rumble a couple of years back, that was the start of his new deal. He's now at the end of that. I'm guessing it was a 2-year deal, 2.5 years deal. He's now at the end of that. So this was his last match against his good friend Sheamus in his hometown of Toronto under his current WWE contract. I personally think he'll go out at Mania. I really think that'll be the perfect ending. And I think he'll do business as well. As much as you want to see him go out on top, I think he's very old school. I think he'll do business. And Hogan gets killed a lot in the wrestling world right now. But let's remember when he had that great match with The Rock at WrestleMania and put The Rock over, past the torch, shall we say. I do think that that's what Edge is going to do. And I think he is, like I say, he's very old school. And I think he will want to go out like that. So what feud they put him in moving forward to, I'm just saying Mania as argument's sake, he might not want to make it to Mania. We will talk about WrestleMania like it's tomorrow. It's not till next April, let's be honest. But if you're going to go out, I mean, what a place to go out. I mean, it's WrestleMania. But Edge, 25-year career, an amazing career. I've been very privileged to meet the guy, Adam Copeland. I met him at the same convention that Adam was at. We didn't know both of us were there at the same time. Met him, got to spend a little bit of time just chatting to him briefly. What a really, really humble, nice guy. 25 years in the wrestling business is incredible. What I can say about Edge is the way he's evolved his character is good. I think in the wrestling business, you need to evolve your character. Very, very solemnly do you get to go through your whole career with the same character. Who would have thought back in the day that the red and yellow of Hulk Hogan would eventually turn and go into the NWO? But they seen it for what it was back then. They seen that they needed to turn him. They needed to evolve his character. They've tried. The Rock has done it. You know, we've seen Hollywood Rock, we've seen Heel Rock, we've seen Babyface Rock, in the Nation of Domination. You have to keep evolving your character. And one of the best things about Edge is, you know, he was with the Brood, he was with Lita, Edge and Christian, had a great solos run as champion. He's been heel, he's been babyface. You know, he's been on the mic on SmackDown for a little bit when injured. There isn't anything that this man can't do. Edge will go down, when all is said and done, he will go down as one of the absolute best to ever do what he's done in a professional wrestling ring. It's been truly honor. It's been an honor of mine to see him wrestle over the years. I don't think he's done yet, like I say. But he had a great match with Sheamus, main event in this week's SmackDown. Really, really good match. He had his wife Beth Phoenix ringside, his kids. I think it was his dad, his whole family. The Toronto crowd again. Woo-hoo. Amazing. Always going to be popping for their boy Edge. Really, really good match. Edge picking up the win with a great spear. And if you just watch this match, there's definitely still something left in the tank for Edge. I don't think this is it. This was a tremendous match. I still think he's got one last feud in him. Could he go out on a high? Could he somehow win a WWE title? Seth Rollins over on Raw. Do they give Edge one last run with Jesus? Look how many times they've done it with Flair. One last run that went on for about fucking 10 years with that overrated numpty. I think Edge would be perfect to hold. Does he hold the United States title? Do they put an IC title on him for one more? And that could culminate in doing business with someone, putting someone over for making it worthwhile, not just beating Edge and going over against Edge. Say I'm using WrestleMania as an example, but going over against Edge for a championship, for a WWE championship, really doing business and putting someone over, whether that's for the IC, the United States, the World Heavyweight, maybe Seth Rollins. It's not going to be Roman. Let's not go down that road. But Seth, we all know the draft doesn't mean shit these days. Could that somehow be segued in? But Edge and Sheamus tore the house down on SmackDown. What? You have to go back. If you go to get a chance, you could do this slowly. When Edge done his entrance, I rewound this because like WWE have missed this here. They didn't just put this on TV. When Edge comes out and he runs to the crowd on his left, first of all, he does the high fives. Then he comes back and he runs back and there's a woman in a yellow top. For those watching on YouTube now, she's pulling her shirt up. And you look at Edge and he's thinking, remember the girl back in the day with Triple H, the Attitude Era? This girl, I don't know if she had a T-shirt underneath because you could only see the back of her. But look for it carefully when you rewatch SmackDown. There's a girl in a yellow sweater or a T-shirt, something, lifting it up. And Edge just quickly looks and thinks, oh, shit, better not do that. But I absolutely, I marked out for that. I was cracking up. But so good to see Edge pick up the win. Congratulations on your 25-year career, Edge. Truly have been absolutely tremendous for the wrestling business. And that was SmackDown. Solid episode. Again, like I say, WWE, they're going to test it now to see what happens without the bloodline. You've got a little sprinkling. You've still got Jey Uso on next week. You've got Paul Heyman. Like I say, you're going to get Ricky. The bloodline storyline isn't done yet. I just don't think it's going to play such a pivotal role in every single episode that SmackDown do. You're not going to have the opening segment, bloodline. You're not going to have a middle of the show, backstage segment, bloodline, end of the show, bloodline. I don't think you're going to have that as much anymore. And I still think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen as much. So, hey, it was a solid show of SmackDown. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a good 7.5, 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. I think it helped. They were in Toronto. If I ever get a chance to go and watch a wrestling show in Canada, I'm going to take it. I mean, Canada's on my list as a place to go and visit eventually. So I'm going to try and maybe culminate it in a wrestling show. But solid SmackDown show. Really enjoyed it. Really good. We're going to be back next week with more content coming out on the Hitting the Turnbuckle. We've got some great interviews. Sorry we didn't get a Raw review this week. Life kind of got in the way. Adam's now he's on holiday. Obviously, he was a little bit under the weather. But I know Dave and Parker, I know we've got the Collision review coming up this week. Dave and Parker, and they're doing a great job over there doing the AEW stuff. So wish them well with the Collision review. Next weekend, AEW are at Wembley Stadium. About 80,000 people are going to be attending the show to check out AEW. At Wembley Stadium, did a tremendous show. So I know Dave and Parker and everyone and Adam is going to be all involved in reviewing that show. We've got Rev Pro the Copper Box next Saturday. Also, if you're in the UK, if you want to go and check out a great promotion, go and check out Rev Pro over at the Copper Box next Saturday. But like I say, we'll be back with all our content. Make sure you check us out on social media. Like we always say, you can find us on Twitter. We love all the people on Twitter that interact with us at HTT Buckle on Twitter. TikTok, Hitting the Turnbuckle. Facebook, just type in Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. YouTube, go and subscribe to the YouTube. We've been really grateful for everyone that has subscribed. I can't thank everyone enough, really. When myself and Parker started this little podcast a good couple of years ago now, I never could imagine it would have gone to where it's gone. So that's down to you. That's down to my fellow co-hosts. Thanks everyone for all the hard work you're doing. But go and check us out on Instagram. Rachel does a great job on our Instagram. Not everything you see that we do is on camera, it's behind the scenes as well. So Rach does a great job on all our Instagram. We're trying to bring you a bit more UK content coming up. I know we're back at Ignite Wrestling in about 5 weeks. I think Ignite, I've got another event. I know Adam and Rach have been at Jurassic Pro. I know Dave goes to some events up there where he is in the Midlands. So we're going to keep it coming. We're going to keep it rolling. But thanks for tuning into today's SmackDown review. Hope I haven't bored you all too much just being just little old me on my own. But this has been another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Till next time, everybody, buckle down stay safe.